got that. Sorry. What I noticed last night as well, and I never noticed it at the time. I noticed it when I watched the goals back, was on a similar sort of thing to the last penalty. When Patterson came on and scored, every single player went and celebrated with him. You know, I mean, we all know what's happened, and we'll touch on it in a bit, no doubt. But every single one of them, you know, went and celebrated with him, which shows you the unity in the team, unity in the squad, and it's a joy to see, an absolute joy to see.
I think that's key. I think when Gerrard came in, I think he established this team mentality. I was listening to Jimmy Nicholl on a podcast the other night, and he was saying that when he was at Ibrox with Murty before that, it was so fragmented, it was unbelievable. For me, we're a team in every sense of the word now, you know, and that's from the guy that plays every week to the guy that doesn't play every week, to the coaching staff, to the physios, the doctors, to Jimmy Bell. Everyone's pulling in the one direction. And see, when you've got a team doing that and getting momentum behind them, they're hard to beat on the pitch, because they would a bit dramatic say they would die for each other, but in a football sense they would. You know, they're flinging their bodies on the line, they're wiping each other out to try and stop goals. You know, it's a team in every sense of the word. And to be honest, we've not had that since, you know, obviously since Smith was here and he'd done 3 in a row just before all the crap happened to us. So it's absolutely brilliant to see. And you know, and as I said, we're hard to beat if you've got that togetherness. You know, it's hard to penetrate. Now, you mentioned Patterson, and I have to admit, you know, I celebrated that goal last night probably more than I've done a lot of goals this season. I was so pleased for him, but obviously Patterson, Zungu and Bassey were on the bench. William, were you surprised at that last night?
Yes, to be honest.
We'll move on.
I wasn't that long in for my work, to be honest, and you know, like you get the phone out your pocket because you're kind of wandering back along the road and you're like, all right, I wasn't expecting that. But look, I suppose like watching Nathan for so long, I'm probably more forgiving with him because I've watched Nathan and I know he's just a kid and he's made a mistake. And I'm not saying that's an excuse, it's not. But I think I'm probably more forgiving than Nathan because I've watched him kind of grow up and obviously become a Rangers first team player. But yeah, I mean, like, shows the managers obviously, well, I don't know if he's forgiven them to an extent, but he's obviously realised that we need these guys for the European games. We don't have the deepest of squads as it is because of the fact that we don't have that many homegrown players overall in the sort of quota. So we do need to be smart about it. I'm fully expecting a ban for all 3 players in Scotland, so I'm not too sure how many games they'll play in Scotland. So it might be that they'll just be kept fresh for these European games. But a bit like yourself, I mean, I was out in my seat when Nathan scored, and you could see the passion from Nathan scoring the goal, and it's probably been a tough last couple of weeks, and some people say that they brought it on themselves, and they did, but we've all made mistakes, we've all did stupid things in my life. I've did many stupid things in my life, as you're aware, Derek, so
same
and like say disrespectful things to other people, you know, I mean, like the players that did wrong, they've probably been heavily fined. They'll now pretty much be on their final warning because any more misdemeanors in COVID, then they have absolutely no comeback. So yeah, I mean, certainly shocked, but also pleased for Nathan that he got his 45 minutes and he showed yet again why he's so highly regarded by people like myself and like the coaching staff at Rangers. He's got so much quality, and it's only a matter of time before that kid is a real top class player.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as William there. Like, I was shocked as well when the news broke on social media that initially it broke that Bassey and Patterson were on the bench, because when Clyde tweeted it out, they missed out Zungu. I think UEFA missed Zungu off their initial posting of the team. Then it turned out the 3 of them were on the bench. I was surprised, but I mean, at the end of the day, if the manager's forgiven them, if that's the right word, or you know, giving them a chance, he knows the situation better than I do. We've trusted Steven Gerrard and everything he's done so far, so we've got to trust him in this. And I mean, what a way to make an apology! You know, 16 seconds on the park, and I mean, even putting them on showed a lot of balls from the manager, because that could have gone spectacularly wrong for him. He could have put them on and it could have gone all sorts of wrong, because the boy's not played any sort of football for a few weeks.
Yeah. Because
of what's happened. You know, having them in the squad's one thing, putting them on the park something completely different. But if the manager's willing to maybe not forgive, but you know, come to terms with it the way he has, then who are we to argue with what he wants to do?
I think the biggest thing for me then was, like the guys are saying, I just kind of echo, like, it's not an excuse, but a young guy, and I think everybody makes mistakes at a certain point in life, and especially when you're younger. But I think the testament to me is, I'm obviously probably always don't really know the character, but see when that goal went in and all the players went to him and how much it meant to not just him, I think that's testament to his character. These guys know to work with him day in, day out, know what he's like in the training and all the effort he puts in. So that's enough for me. And like the guys are saying, there's probably more punishment coming, and the guy in Patterson, along with the rest of them, is probably going to need to take that on the chin. And I think it's probably going to be a big learning curve for him. And that's the sort of stuff that can follow you through your career. And if maybe it'll be in the long run, you'll look back and go, I'm kind of glad that happened to me early, and I've learned that lesson, and I used that. That's never left me. It's like as long as I go on my career. So fair play to the guy, and it was just nice to see how much it actually meant to him when that goal went in. I think you could see the passion in him, and it was nice. It was a nice moment to see, to be honest.
It showed his maturity as well, because I was listening to the watch along with Jermaine Defoe and Clive Tilsley, and Defoe said at one point that when it happened that Patterson and Bassey had messaged all the players. I take it they've probably got a kind of first team WhatsApp group or whatever, but both of them had messaged all the players. Look, we fucked up here. We're really, really sorry. You know, we'll take what's coming. But they actually apologised. And for a young guy to do that, whether he did it off his own back or his parents said, "Look, you need to do this," or somebody else said you need to do it, the bottom line is they did it. So that was obviously easier for the first team easier for the first team to take him back. You know, I don't know if the other two early in the season did anything like that. But for me, the fact that a young guy is prepared to message the rest of his work group and say, "Look, we've made a mess of this, and we're just telling you this is what's happened," that shows the maturity of the guy as well, and it's probably one of the reasons they were accepted back in as readily as they have been.
Yeah, I think. Sorry,
I think that's important. I think what Will said spot on. You know, the first thing the players have got to do is put their hand up to accept that they made a mistake. You know, nobody can get away from that fact. That's the simple reality, is that these players made a mistake. And, you know, I mean, like Nathan to me has always seemed like a really nice, quiet, kind of down-to-earth guy. But yeah, again, he's a kid that's probably earning good money. And yeah, like, he's probably made a mistake. And that's just, you know, that's just life. We can't say that, you know, we're earning the same money as footballers, because we're not. So, like, you know, sometimes maybe there's things in front of your eyes it's easy to do because you've got the money to do it. Or maybe sometimes you just feel as though maybe you've got a kind of like a sort of deserved mentality that you should be able to do these things because you've got it. But I've never felt that with Nathan. You know, he's always seemed like a nice guy, and he's got a really nice family. And I'm sure they were probably really, you know, kind of upset and bothered by the whole thing. Because the idea, like, you see some of the stuff on social media that's getting said about players, personal abuse, and it's not something I ever like to see, you know, and I think that's kind of one of the things that, you know, the players just have to accept that possibly for a wee while longer, they're going to have to do a wee bit more to get back in the supporters' good books, because that's just the nature of it. A lot of people were angry at the time, including myself, about what had happened, but hopefully now we can maybe take a wee step away from it and think, all right, we've moved on. That win last night probably brings in another, like £1 million. So, you know, from the club's point of view, we've got to move forward with the positivity. We've knocked out a good team in Antwerp. There's another £1 million in the bank, and we look forward to Slavia in the next round.
I think as well, I actually think for the rest, sorry, Derek, mate. I think for the rest of the game, he actually conducted himself really. I thought he played well for the 45 minutes he came in. I thought after he got his goal, you could probably see the adrenaline must have been absolutely running through him at that point. He was pure sprinting to get all the throw-ins as soon as he went out, and he was right up for it, and fair play to him, but he actually settled into it after that, and I thought he actually played well. And if there is a ban coming from the SB in the league, hopefully he's still available for the Europa League, and it might come in handy, and he might be well needed. So I thought, to be fair, he played well, and good on him, and that's what he's got to do to get, is just keep on, and whenever he gets his opportunity, go on and try his best and be humble and hold his hands up, and people forgive and forget him, man. Do you know what I mean? So, fair play to him.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned words like maturity and they showed respect and all that, and that's obviously key for me, for a Rangers player who's coming through. But for me, I tweeted last night that he played like he owed somebody something. You know, he came on and he He took the game by the scruff of the neck. He was up and at them. He got that goal, that, brilliant finish, great bit of football. For me, his defending was excellent. He's very aggressive in the tackle. He's also a modern fullback in every sense, but he's got that bit of aggressiveness in the tackle about him, which I love. It's almost like the throwbacks to the old-fashioned Scottish right backs that we've had in the past. It was brilliant to watch. And listen, what are people want to happen to a 19-year-old kid here? He's made a mistake. He'll pay for it. He'll be fined heavily. He'll be reprimanded by the club, and he will be banned by the Football Association. I have no doubts about that. So what are people want to happen here? Now, it triggered a lot of people, and I had people text me last night they wouldn't really talk about football with because they're from the other side, saying that, how do they get away with that? And it just shows you, people are wanting blood from Rangers, and we need to make sure that we don't give them it. And that's key for us going forward. And if Patterson and the rest have to be that example, then so be it. But I was so pleased for him. I was jumping about the living room, and it was a goal that we maybe didn't need, and it wasn't as if it was a last-minute winner, but I was so chuffed for him because it was he needs that. He's had a crap couple of weeks, and that will lift his spirits. And let's be honest about it, he's a cracking football player. You know what I mean? And he's got a big future with Rangers. For me, the whole shape of the team changed last night when he came on, and we just looked more like us. For me, and that's not any slight in Balogun. He didn't really put a foot. He was a bit struggling in the last 10 minutes, but the way we play, we need an aggressive, forward-thinking fullback. Nathan Patterson certainly is that. So, just on that, do you think? I'm not even sure when the SFA hearing is. Somebody said it was today, but it didn't seem anything to come out. But Wolf, do you think they'll get a ban?
Yeah, I think they will. I think the SFA said they're still out when they banned Edmondson and Jones for 7 games. I think they've got that coming to them. I think it's a different situation because from what I hear, they weren't at a party like the other two, where it was like a sort of get together with teammates, so that we're all them and their partners or whatever. That's the way I understand it. It's still wrong. It doesn't make it right. They still breach the rules, but not to the same extent as the other two did earlier in the season. So it might not be as severe. And Rangers might put up a case and say, well, hold on a minute. A certain team went halfway around the world, publicly broke the rules, and nothing happened to them, individually. So that could be the club's defence. But they'll certainly get banned. I'm expecting 6 or 7 games, and the club's just going to accept it. They're just going to put their hands up and say, look, yeah, that's it, that's fine. We'll take the bans. They will still be available for Europe, because the SFA can't ban them from European competitions. So hopefully we stay in Europe a bit longer, and they can feature all the way to Gdansk.
That'd be nice. William, you think they'll get a ban? Think there's a ban coming their way from Hampden?
Yeah, I think it's a certainty. I think it's something we've spoke about for the outset. I agree with Wolf. I think there's got to be a severity of bans. From what Wolf's saying, and that sounds as though that's the case, they've all went to one player's house to watch whatever's on the television that night, whether it was the boxing or whatever, and they went with their girlfriends. Yeah, look, it's still breaking the rules, but it's not like they went to a party at a random person's house, which is what Jones and Edmondson basically did. So, I mean, it's probably not the same type of severity, but the SFA have kind of gradually went up and up and up in terms of how their bans have went. I don't feel this is quite as severe as what Jones and Edmondson done, but we got left, like 8 games in the season left. I don't know if we'll see them again this season. And the problem being is, see if they get banned for 5 or 6 games, it's then really difficult to throw them in the last game or two. Because they've missed all that football. So I think what they'll probably try and do with them, a bit like what Wolf is saying, is just say to them, look, you've got the 2 games against Slavia. You will be part of the squad. This is how it's going to be if you're going to get an SFA ban. So I think that's really how the club have to look at it. And I agree with Wolf as well. See, if you try and appeal it, then you're almost kind of saying, look, the players didn't do quite as bad as what we first thought, and then it looks bad in the club. So it's a difficult one, but hopefully the ban's maybe not as severe as what Jones and Edmondson got.
I think I can echo that as well. And I expect the club and the players to probably, whatever comes away, it probably will be deserved, and they probably just have to take their medicine and get on with it and just go ahead with that. I don't see any real need to be appealing it, and we're probably in a privileged position in a sense where when it comes to the league, we don't really need to appeal it as much, and so I think the right thing to do is probably just to take it on the chin and move on as quickly as possible, to be honest.